Well, if you spent some time here in Paris in the past week, you may well have noticed that rubbish bags are piling up on the streets. Garbage collectors have been on strike for several days now to voice their opposition to those pension reforms. And it is increasingly then an unavoidable problem for tourists here in the French capital. Take a listen.
There's got to be a better way than to just let it pile up and stop your job. It doesn't seem to be doing any good.
Well, if French people do that, perhaps this works. And I know the pension reform is an international issue. Any other country has this one. Of course, it is an unpleasant experience, less for us, for tourists and for the locals. But if it does the job, then why not? I mean, it's for the cause. It's for the good cause.
Well, to talk a bit more about the garbage strike, Shirli Sitbon joins me here in the studio from our science desk. And Shirli, what are the possible health implications of the trash remaining in the streets for more than a week now?
Well, they're not good. Actually, in Paris and in some other cities where, trash collectors have been protesting, there's a serious alarm. They're saying this is very preoccupying because they fear that disease, many of them will be brought by rats and worms. You can see all these images across Paris, the Eiffel Tower, Notre Dame, and of course all the people filming all of this because it's so unusual. We can see Dior, all of these luxurious brands, and the tourists and the Parisians just being amazed by the situation, kind of shocked. And of course, we can see that various food items are just spread on the floor for many days until the 20th of this month, so it's not over yet. So what can be done? Well, there's a fear that rats that proliferate now, they've already proliferated in Paris, but even more so now with all of the trash in the streets, in some neighborhoods anyway. Well, they fear that they will bring many diseases, including leptospirosis, which is apparently the most dangerous one. It's a blood infection, which can be transmitted through rats to men and various mammals, including dogs. So what the city has tried to contain this problem using very superficial decisions at first, like putting the trash in containers and asking people to keep their trash at home, maybe if they have a balcony just outside.
OK, well, that's one solution, but I assume there are other options that French cities now have to deal with this.
Yes, they don't really have a choice because there's just too much out there and they want to avoid a sanitary catastrophe, anyway, a crisis. So what they've been doing is they've been trying to dispatch, since the 3 incinerators, first of all, the collectors themselves are on strike. The trucks themselves have been blocked in their garages by striking workers as well. And the 3 incinerators of the Paris area, they're also not functioning. So city officials have decided to bring in truck collectors, not truck collectors, but garbage collectors from other regions, and those who work for private companies who are not striking, they're helping out, and they're taking all that garbage to other incinerators further away. We can see various images of incinerators further away. There's also a way of also collecting the trash and just keeping it on various sites just until it can be incinerated, but there are many a lot of pollution involved in those solutions of just taking, with trucks, the garbage far away from Paris.
Just tell us briefly, though, Shirli, about some of the concerns by those garbage collectors and why they're on strike. For one thing, I mean, they have a shorter life expectancy than a number of other French workers. What kind of difficulties do they face?
Well, many more than we can imagine. And this starts with their working conditions when they collect the trash. It starts we can see this early in the morning. It's still very dark out. There are many accidents. And today there's more and more trash to collect and less workers because there's less money. The budget has been cut down. So they have to do everything at once. Sometimes the driver has to get out and to put the trash in the truck. And that's very complicated. Also, the machinery is those accidents. Sometimes they're crushed. They have to stop all the time. That's dangerous with various cars trying to pass by. And also what we're seeing here is that now it's automatic, those trucks, these arms just taking this in. But this involves a lot of accidents and even lethal accidents. And after all of these things, there's also accidents with the truck collected needles, glass, and of course also with the incinerators, there's a lot of gas that's toxic. So yes, their life expectancy is shorter and they don't want to work 2 extra years.
Shirli Sitbon, thanks very much indeed for coming in to talk to us about that particular aspect of the strikes.